By now, you have probably heard about the huge tragedy that happened in the USA, and we've been asked a few times to discuss how to handle such a helpless situation if you were not the one directly involved, like if it wasn't a friend or family member, you're not the one injured and whatnot. How to just cope and how to handle a situation like this.
When something this big affects not only the whole country but specifically a community that you may feel that you're part of, it can be really, really, really hard to deal with because you do start to you feel a fear. You feel a, what if it happens to me? Why do we live in a world that's like this? And those kind of questions don't really have great answers. But there are a few ways you can kind of react to this that can be a lot healthier and a lot less despairing. Because it is really easy to want to be really upset, and we all are really upset by this. And it hurts really deeply to have seen this happen. And I think all of our hearts are with the victims and their families and the people who are still trying to survive what happened. But it's really easy to end up kind of giving up and feeling very hopeless in these situations.
I know for me, I wanted to stay inside and kind of let the fear eat at me the whole day. And Katie and Rabbit actually went out to a candlelight march, and I would have gone had fear not been instilled in me, but also I'm dealing with an injury, but it's one of those of I wanted to do something, but in the moment, fear really took hold of me, and I know in a lot of situations that's what's going on with maybe you or someone you know, where the anxiety and the panic and the fear of how scary the world is right now can make you really close off, not want to exit your own home.
Not want to be
And
open about yourself, who you are, be afraid of doing things like coming out or being proud. And it is okay to guard yourself in the world we live in. It is acceptable to say I'm really not comfortable with being out of the closet or wearing pride gear or anything like that when you are in the queer community. But don't let this be your reason for being afraid. Don't let this make you despaired. Don't believe that this is going to be the world we're going to live in forever. Because while this is an absolute tragedy, the only real response you can have to this that's good is to continue to love one way or another. And I know I'm trying really hard to react to this with nothing but love in the most loving way possible. I'm reminding myself that this is why we need to talk. This is why we need to educate, to be open, to speak. And when I say speaking from a loving place, that means that you may have, if you're an out queer person, you may have questions that come from a place of ignorance for people who have never encountered a queer person before, who have never tried to encounter a queer person before. And you may be given, microaggressive questions or things that you're kind of irritated and tired of hearing. And if you're trying to approach being out from a place of love, you kind of bite back on that and go, okay, well, that's a little bit rough, but let me be honest with you. Let me be open with you. Let me tell you the truth, and let me do it in a loving way. Because that does, as a community, make us seem a lot more human and kind and good.
you can't fight hate with hate. That's letting the hate win. That's only going to create more violence. And as she said, educating, even if it seems hurtful, the way that I have come from a very homophobic past is it only makes it worse if you're trying to actually get an answer and maybe you don't know the right terminology. Maybe it may seem microaggressive, but for that person who's asking the question, maybe it's because that's all they've ever heard, that's all they know. And if you get mad and you answer very angry, upset, or act like, how dare you have the audacity to ask me that, it affects the person who's asking to feel even more like they're right in their judgments of the community, that, oh, well, I think poorly of them and they gave me a poor response to my poor question, but they gave me a poor response, which means I'm going to still think badly of them. They only justified my reasoning for thinking poorly of them. So just coming from a place of love, as she said, is to answer with a open mind that they may not actually know the answer, and that's why they're asking, and that's why they may sound rude. It's because they truly are that ignorant, and you have to treat them not like they're stupid, but treat them as if, okay, this is the first time they've ever heard this information. Let me come with it with an honest, open, but simpled down answer, and only answer what they ask.
It's so when I'm asked, like, what can I do in this situation, of course some of the first responses you hear are, you know, keep the families in your thoughts, donate blood, donate money. When you can't do those things, one of the best responses you can do is take any opportunity or situation you're given in your life, one-on-one, individually with other human beings, to make small changes, to, like I said, have conversations, to just be yourself, to be as much yourself as you safely can in this world. It's not impossible. It's not going to stay like this forever. This was a tragedy and it was a setback, but this was not the loss of a war. This was one awful battle and one terrible thing that happened, but it's not the be-all end-all of our world, especially those of us that are in this generation, those of us that are younger. This is the world we're inheriting. That event is not the precursor to what we're going to cope with forever. We can make the changes, we can make forward steps, and as we come into our own in this world, don't feel like that war is lost. We are standing on the ground that the queer community has built for us. Our much elders in the community have brought us to this point, and there are advances that are happening that nobody has ever seen before. And as I talked to some individuals who are in the queer community who are in their 60s and 70s last night, they said things like, well, the last time we marched in this district in the city, way back 30 years ago, the cops tried to arrest us. And this time when we all marched, the police actually escorted us for safety purposes. They escorted our 500-person march through the city. So the elders in the community were completely floored that we had even gone to the point where the cops would, instead of trying to raid our bars and our gatherings, that they would actually walk with us. So we are making progress. We haven't seen where we've come from, those of us that are younger, but it's there. We have moved up, and this is definitely not the end. So don't lose hope. Don't let this dishearten you. We are still very, very, very strong. We still know we're in the right to live. We have a right to be. We have a right to love. And being queer is a love issue. It is a thing that stems from love. It's about who you love and who you are as a person, which is love. And that in and of itself, we're not wrong. And love is going to win. It takes time, it takes effort, and there will be setbacks. And things like this do happen, but it's not the end of it. And this is not what it's going to be like forever.
It may feel like there are tons of oppressing moments for the queer community still, and there are. But yeah, where we have come from was so much worse. The fact that even on most job applications anymore, you see that they state, whether every company actually holds to what they state, but the fact that there are jobs that say we're not going to discriminate versus your preference of love is extraordinary for where the queer community has actually come from. So we are doing a lot better in this generation. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. But we're definitely, honestly, a lot better off than where we had been. And in these situations, as far as right now, all I can say really that you can do, if you can't donate blood, if you can't be there for the actual families or donate money, take this opportunity to change how you handle and perceive your place in the community. Maybe even take the time to really hold your family members or your friends a lot closer, reminding them more often that you love them and that you care for them and that you wish nothing but the best for them. But also maybe take the time to outreach that to your community as well, whether it be the queer community or just your community in general. Take this time to say, I want to make an actual difference in this world. I want love to actually win over the hate. Take the time to volunteer. I know that volunteering really helped me, especially as a teenager, to keep from swimming and drowning in the depressions of teenage years. It took me from feeling like the world was absolutely hopeless, especially growing up during the times of September 11th. I started to donate a lot more of my time and my heart and energy to volunteering, and I know that really helped me get through a lot of the seeing nothing but the bad in the world, because I felt even though I can't fix it all, I can hopefully correct even a small portion of it, but that small portion is a seed that goes a long way. It eventually will crop up. The fact that I helped the younger generation, that people may say they want to help them, but you gotta actually be there and actually do it. And I know from experience of fearing that we wouldn't have enough volunteers to help with the amount of need that we were given, you got to be there for it. And at this point, maybe just doing that, of helping anybody that you possibly can, helping with any organization that you feel passionate for. And it really does show you that there is actual love in this world, and if there's not love in that part of the world, then you can definitely be the one to create it and allow it to grow.
There is strength in numbers and small actions. You may not, as an individual, grow up to be a politician. One person can make a huge difference, but all of us collectively doing small things can make an even bigger difference. We have a torch that's being passed to us, especially in this community. And as long as you're doing your best to put out a positive energy, put out a positive action, be a positive person, take that torch in your strong hands and do anything that you can, anything that's within your capabilities that's not going to hurt yourself or anyone else. That torch is in your hands and you are capable of carrying it. You are 100% capable of carrying that positivity, that flame that's been passed down to us. We all have it, and we are absolutely able to do something great with it.
It's easy to get caught up in the negative. It's very easy. It's a lot easier to be caught up in the negative, but we got to take a moment to say, you know what, this is only creating what we just saw. It's only creating these nightmares. So less negativity, more positivity, even if it hurts, and it's gonna hurt, but really gritting your teeth, bearing the pain, still spreading the positive despite it all, is what's going to actually affect this world and change it for the better. That's what we've been seeing. Why our generation is blessed enough to not have every single queer kid get killed. The fact that a community can know that there is somebody who has a boyfriend and they just smile and say how cute. The fact that we even have that anywhere right now, when our grandparents definitely never saw stuff like that as easily given. You had to be very closeted. The fact that we now don't have as many closet doors shut is a miracle in and of itself, and that's from sticking with the positive, fighting the good fight, and saying, no, we know this is for love, and we're going to do this out of love. And that's where we're going to see the actual progress and the change. And you work better if you're smiling and you're happy and you're proud of what you're doing.
And absolutely,
So take pride in pride.
absolutely take care of yourself through things like this, because your strength and your ability to do any of these things is going to come from you. So start with loving yourself. Take care of yourself. Take care of your body. Realize that your body is the vessel for change, that you as a person are the vessel for change. You have the strength in you. So take care of you first. Make sure that you are able and capable, and that you're not hurting yourself beforehand, so that you can do the changes that you want to do, that you can do the things you want to do. Because I really believe in you guys. I absolutely know that everyone watching this channel is capable of doing so much. You guys are so strong. You're so good-hearted. I have seen so many, many sweet things said by so many of you guys with just these great big golden hearts. And I know that there's a lot of strength behind those golden hearts. There's a lot of strength in you guys' hands. And I really do believe in you.
There is strength even in weakness, and that only creates and produces a lot more strength. You gotta hurt to build and grow, but it's worth it in the end. And I do feel that there has been a lot of growth, even seeing people come from hearts of hate to seeing this tragedy and softening their hearts and saying, you know what, I can't stand on the side of hate anymore if that's what comes from it. There is good happening. Even if it's behind the scenes, there is good happening, and eventually it's going to come out and present itself. So stay strong, and we love you guys so much. Thank you guys.
Thank you.